If you are an audio-only podcaster and you are considering maybe adding some video to perhaps enhance your podcast, then stick around because this episode was made especially for you.
Sound matters. Be heard. Welcome to the podcast where you get exclusive behind-the-scenes tips to make your own show sound truly spectacular. This is Podtastic Audio.
Hey, what's happening? How are you doing today? Thank you so much for being here. I am Chris, and you have found the right place. This is Podtastic Audio, the show which I've designed and created to help you, make an amazing podcast of your very own. And that podcast can be about whatever it is you want to talk about. It's your show. You are the captain of your own podcast ship. So you can create something that's spectacular for you and your audience. As we enter into summer of 2024, you know and I know that there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of different ways to create a podcast. And since this podcast has always been audio only, and hence it is in the name Podtastic Audio, I've always focused on ways to create amazing audio for your podcast. But for the very first time, I'm going to create a video podcast focusing on ways to merge video into your podcast production. And one of the most popular tools out there right now to create video for podcasters or even just general content creators, maybe a YouTuber or something like that, has got to be Riverside.fm. Now, if you are not too familiar of what Riverside.fm is, well, think of it like a very souped up performance version of a Zoom call. But more than just recording a conversation back and forth with multiple participants, the team at Riverside have designed a system that basically handles all of the production, all of the video recording and audio recording, all of the editing if you want to do script-based editing, like you type in the word remove these, it'll clip out all of them, just like the script does. It also can enhance the audio through AI. It also can add in little bumpers and video elements and even audio elements during a live presentation. And then you can physically download every element and every piece and every video and every piece of audio separately straight to your device. So you can edit things however you want on your own software, or you can use a software that's already built in to Riverside.fm. To help me understand what Riverside.fm truly actually does, I invited Stephen Robles, who is the face of Riverside.fm, on the show today to go over all the wonderful things that Riverside.fm can do. And I'm going to participate in this conversation using Riverside. That's right. Our conversation today has been entirely recorded using the Riverside platform. Stephen goes over all of the details of what Riverside can really do for you as a content creator, especially a podcaster. Being that he is a big tech guy, I couldn't leave this tech conversation off the table. So stick around to the end where I ask him what it's like having Apple Vision Pro. So please enjoy my conversation with Stephen Robles.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Man, this is amazing. It's like blending both worlds together. You being a big video guy, me being the audio guy. It's like DC and Marvel like got together and made a movie.
Absolutely. But, I will say I was audio only for many, many years. I started the Apple Insider podcast in 2015, audio only for many years. And so, I'm trying to add the video thing as everyone in the industry is kind of moving that way. But no, I love the audio side too. So I'll do both.
Now, we are using Riverside. It's my first time using Riverside as a host of Riverside. I've always used it as a guest from time to time. So I'm trying to figure out all the different buttons and walk through all the different things. And when you log into Riverside, your face is like the first thing you see, like on the screen, So you are the face of Riverside.
Well, it's an honor to do it. Actually, it's going to be 2 years at the end of this month that I've been on the Riverside team making video content and tutorials for them. And I was using them before I joined the team when I was trying to add video to my podcast and even just recording audio only podcasts. I started using Riverside. And I was looking for remote work and it just worked out. And I've loved being on the team. I got to visit their headquarters in Tel Aviv last June, which was an awesome experience. So I just love what they're doing. I believe in their mission. So it's an honor for sure.
So what is their mission then, you think? Like if the mission statement, what is it, you think?
I wish I had it on hand or memorized, but it's really just to give tools to people so they can share their story in the highest quality possible, because that's important all over the world, whether it's with remote guests or not. And, we have Riverside being used by journalists, by animators, by major news outlets, interviews, documentaries. And we just want to make it as seamless and easy as possible to record that high quality content, but really share the important stories, anyone's story, and making it and giving everyone the tools to do it easily. Because while we love recording and you may even enjoy editing, you personally are on the other side of this podcast, but that is usually the most time consuming. And for many people who are like one person shows and they're doing all the production and the editing, it can hinder getting the story out. And so Riverside is just trying to make it as easy as possible so you can do it all: audio, video, high quality, and we'll do all the hard work for you.
That's what it's all about, because like me getting into this whole thing, podcasting, generally speaking, was like my whole idea behind the thing was not so much like why we're creating something and what we're talking about. It's more like, can I stitch all this together? Can I make any of this stuff work? Am I talking? Is this actually being recorded? What does it sound like when it's done? Is it even good audio? How do I take that audio, make it sound amazing? I know a lot of people jump into the whole podcasting space, and the first thing they want to go into is like, the marketing side of it all. Like, how do I get this out to everybody? But did you check first, see if it's any good? let's try that. That's always a big one. So I know you got a big, massive YouTube channel. It's funny about YouTube is that I've been on YouTube probably since before Google owned YouTube. And I just had a channel just for funsies, and I still have it, but I rarely post anything on there. And I have a small number of subscribers, but some of my videos have done fairly well. So when it comes to YouTube, what's the deal with the subscriber count versus the view count? Like, which one is more important to have?
It used to be subscriber count, but now it really doesn't matter as much. You know, I've been really focusing on it the last 2-ish years. And last year I was around 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. And I had a couple of videos hit pretty big about the iPhone 15, talking about the new USB-C port and all the things you can do with it.
It's this phone right here?
There it is, yeah. And, I got something like 10,000 subscribers in a month just off of like 2 or 3 major videos. But what that taught me was the reach is not necessarily attached to your subscriber count. And, if you just scroll your YouTube home tab or on the website and you do a search term, you will likely see videos from very small channels, like hundreds of subscribers, if not less. So that should tell you as a YouTube user, like the subscriber count is not what's going to dictate whether YouTube pushes your content in front of other people. It's really the packaging, namely, what is the thumbnail? What is the title? Is it in a niche or topic that people are actually searching for or looking for? And do you provide that really quick and deep value as soon as someone clicks? The first 30 seconds of a video are really key to making sure people understand what they can expect from the video they're about to invest, 10, 20 minutes in. So the subscriber count is not a hindrance to views, really. And that can be tough because it's easy to kind of use that as an excuse of like, well, I'm just starting out. I have 0 subscribers. There's no hope. And that's actually not the case at all.
Yeah, so I do notice that with YouTube, speaking of getting somebody to like, you said 30 seconds are the most valuable on your YouTube channel. But what happens if YouTube decides to throw an ad at the front of your video? And there goes your 30 seconds right there, right?
I monetize, all the videos on my personal channel. And if someone is on YouTube and watches YouTube and they don't pay for YouTube Premium, they know the ad is coming. If you don't monetize your videos, there is no ads. So, ironically, that first 1,000 subscribers, what a lot of times is the hardest, and those 4,000 watch hours, you don't have to worry about an ad at the beginning of your video because your channel's not monetized. So if someone clicks as you're in your early stages of growth, they're not going to see an ad anyway. And even when you do choose to monetize, you have the controls. Like, do you want a pre-roll ad or do you just want to put an ad in the middle? You actually have those controls as a YouTube creator. So, and honestly, again, in the last 2 years of my own experience, people, they understand ads, they get it. And if the value that you're bringing is good enough, it's not going to affect whether or not they click.
But dude, I am waiting like with my old mouse right over that skip button. Like as soon as it's ready,
That's
as soon
fine.
as it's ready,
Yeah,
click
for sure.
that thing. It's good. It's good to go. So
For sure.
I know that with YouTube, constantly are feeding you similar videos to the column, whether it's below on a phone or to the right side on a computer screen. So the retention rate's got to be very, very low on videos. What is a good retention rate on an average video?
I mean, it depends. I can look at some of my videos right now and see. So the retention rate, it's going to drop for every video. No matter, it's always those first 10, 20 seconds that retention is going to drop. For me, I'm trying to find, okay, here's one of my retention graphs. About 10, 20% are still watching after 8 minutes. I have about 25% still watching around 4 minutes. So, it all depends. But also, this is why Mr. Beast actually talked about this recently. Honestly, longer content, and I'm talking like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or longer, actually is a good idea on YouTube right now. If you're providing value the whole time, that's the key. You can't just upload a 30-minute video of you rambling and expect it to perform well. But if you have a 20-minute video that's full of solid content, then you can expect to find success. And honestly, it's interesting. One of the most successful topics that I cover on my personal YouTube channel is shortcuts for the iPhone, which is a very niche topic. It's automation. But because I'm actually very instructional, I'm actually teaching people how to build these shortcuts step by step. I had a recent shortcuts video that was 20 minutes long, but people stick around and watch. The people that click are invested. And the video itself, I mean, it's got like 20, 30,000 views right now. I did one about ChatGPT, 10 shortcuts for ChatGPT since the new app launched. That video's at 72,000 views. And
wow.
Providing value is the key. And yes, you have to grab their attention. And in all my videos, even if you watch that ChatGPT shortcuts video, in the first 20 seconds, I'm telling you, I'm going to show how to summarize an article right from the share sheet on your iPhone. I'm going to show you how to write an email with ChatGPT so you don't have to think about it. So I tell them in the first 20 seconds, here's what the value you're going to get by watching this video. And then I'm just walking them through,
So
and
you say that at the very beginning. So at the very beginning of the video, you kind of explain what this is for and what we're going to do today.
Exactly. And that's pretty much, it's kind of that high school speech class. If you ever had speech class back then.
I think so.
It's like, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
Interesting.
That's kind of the speech class thing. And so as you're thinking about the first 30 seconds of your YouTube video, tell them what you're going to tell them. Like, here's what we're going to cover. Here's what you'll find valuable. And if that interests you, stick around. And if you want to throw in like a curiosity generating term, you could say, stay till the end and I'm going to do this. And so like in that ChatGPT video, I said, stay till the end and I'm going to show you my personal shortcut that I use to format podcast show notes using ChatGPT, and it does it all for me. So you can just throw in some of those teasers and curiosity driving moments as well.
That's what I started doing on Podtastic Audio, on my audio podcast. Probably, I don't know how many episodes ago. I thought like, why don't I, instead of just having a cold open or a music open, why don't I just have like a recorded tease open at the very beginning and then try to hook, like I call it the hook. And I'll
absolutely.
And what I'll do is I'll record that at the very end of the episode because I already know what I talked about. Because sometimes you try to create a hook at the beginning and then try to build the show around the hook.
No.
Yeah, I always do it at the very end.
And I would suggest Jay Klaus. He's an amazing creator. He uses Riverside, but he's really been pushing his podcast content on YouTube, full-length video podcasts, and he does a highly produced hook in the first minute. And his, podcast interviews are an hour long or more, but that first minute is just a masterclass of what a great hook could be for a podcast. And that's one of the things I would, remind anyone who's been doing podcasts a long time. And for me, I did audio for such a long time, and the world of podcasting was very different. There would be small talk or banter, and a lot of times it would take a while to get to the actual content.
Right.
At least that's what I felt a lot of shows did. And as podcasters, if you want to grow your show today, you do have to change that mindset and think like a YouTube creator, where even in the audio version of your show, there should be some kind of hook at the beginning. So for my technology podcast, I spend the first 30 seconds running down what we're going to talk about, telling them what we're going to tell them. And it's just a teaser. So this way, if they're interested in WWDC coming up in a couple weeks, or OpenAI's deal with Vox Media, or Google search documents leaking, I throw all that at the beginning. This way, if any of those things are interesting to them, they'll know we're going to cover it really soon. And I use chapters in all my stuff too, in my YouTube videos and my podcasts. So if someone's interested in a specific topic, but they don't want to hang around for all the other stuff, just jump to that chapter. I'm just glad you're listening, just glad you're watching.
Right.
So use the chapters.
Now, with the chapters in YouTube, for example, can you see where people jump around? Like what chapters are more popular than the others?
You can definitely see in the retention graph where there are jumps in that retention. And so you don't get a report of like this chapter is popular or whatever.
Okay.
But you can even see this as a YouTube viewer. If you're looking at a YouTube video, you kind of see that opaque white line throughout the video. And the high peaks are the moments that people keep coming back to watch or jumping to. So you can absolutely see, okay, this is a moment that a lot of people want to see in this video. And as a creator, that should tell you, if you have your podcast on YouTube or you're doing any kind of YouTube content, look to see what are the spikes? Where are people tuning in? Maybe I should be doing more of that.
Right, definitely.
Every time.
So YouTube for a hot minute, I don't know if it's still popular or not, but are those YouTube shorts? I think you've done shorts and you've dabbled. Everybody's dabbled with shorts. I haven't. My son does. He creates shorts all the time. His channel's really kind of exploded, and I don't understand it at all. It's like video game screen recording on his phone or something. That's what the kids are into. I don't know. He's
video
10.
Game, huge.
They
huge
are. I don't know what he does. I mean, I don't know how he got like a couple thousand followers of subscribers or whatever in no time at all. And one of his videos got like over 4,000 views in the first 24 hours. And I'm like, well, I don't know what he's doing, But so what is the power of a short video versus a long form video?
So like you just said, it got 4,000 views overnight. That is the power of shorts, 100% discovery. Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, that format of video is how you can be discovered and start having people recognize your content. I would not think of shorts as like your main content.
Okay.
There are channels who only do shorts and they will succeed. A lot of them, honestly, are TikTokers who have come to YouTube or people who are like old school Vine people.
Nice.
But shorts, I think of it in my world as just the discovery platform. It's not as revenue generating. So if that's a part of your equation.
Wait. It's not? You can't make money?
No. You can make money on shorts, but you will earn much more doing long form video, getting significant views, especially over time. I have YouTube videos from the start of my channel, literally my very first video I posted on YouTube, which is about screen time on iPhone. I still get comments from people who are watching that video today. And that video's almost 3-4 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's the power of the YouTube long form content, which if you're really creating valuable stuff, people are going to discover it years from now, which is not necessarily the case with short form content. You might see shorts come up in search results. You might come across it. But a lot of times short form content has like high peaks. Maybe it'll go viral and then just a very, steep drop and a low, over time, if anything, if people are still watching it months from now. So it's a discovery platform. But for podcasts, huge opportunity for discovery. You're not going to get a ton of followers or subscribers from it. You might not even get a lot of engagement. But all you need is a couple short form videos to hit big, get a few thousand views. And that's how you can start growing your show, both on YouTube and move those audience members over to your audio version as well.
So if you want to grow subscribers fast, if you put more energy into doing short videos, would that increase your subscriber count quickly?
I mean, there's no guarantee for anything, but yes, I would do short form content. You really have to make sure your long form content is good. Like you said at the beginning of this episode, you have to have good stuff first. You can't think about growing until you have something good to point people to. So always focus on the long form content. Make sure you're providing value there so that when people go to it, they'll stick around and that they'll keep coming back. So always focus on that. But yes, to grow, I would, and this is what I try to do with my podcast. I post a short form video, a clip from the show every weekday, Monday through Friday. I'm posting a short form video on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and sometimes just posting it straight to Threads and Twitter as well. So post every day, post a short form. That's why Riverside's Magic Clips feature is really ideal. You
Okay.
can do one click, creates a bunch of vertical clips for you. You can have one a day if you do a weekly podcast super easily.
Now, can it send it directly from Riverside or to download it first and do your own thing?
You got to download it first and then upload it in all the apps. And that's something where it's, TikTok does not make it easy to post a TikTok from outside. Same with
Okay.
Instagram. Reels, you can do it through Facebook Business Manager, but it's a pain. So honestly, I just find it faster. Just download it from Riverside, which you can do right on your phone.
Nice.
If you already have the clips exported, you can download them in Safari on your phone, upload it to all the platforms.
That's great. Now, does Riverside do any kind of like video enhancements with like lighting, color correction, stuff like that?
We actually do have exposure and color temperature settings that you can adjust. That's recent. You should see it rolling out on mobile if you're recording on iPhone or iPad and on the desktop. And we do have blurred background and virtual backgrounds that recently launched. So you can do those enhancement effects and the exposure and temperature colors.
Now, the experience on the mobile device for Riverside, is it very similar to this or is it different? Because I know you're working on a phone. It's different, that kind of deal.
It is different. You're not going to have as many tools like screen sharing or the media board or all of that. But if you're doing a straight video podcast like we're doing right now, we could totally do this on the phone or even the iPad. I just did a video on the Riverside channel using the new iPad Pro. And if you have a USB microphone and an iPad Pro or an iPhone 15 with the USB-C, super easy to set it up. And you could do the whole thing with the Riverside app. So, yeah.
That's quite amazing. Hey, I was going to ask you on the new iPad Pro, that thing's got that new M4 chip in that thing. Is that kind of overkill? What do you think?
I mean, sure, it's overkill, but it's probably not going to be overkill 5 years from now. So if you get it now with the M4 chip and you invest in it, this can be a long-term device. It's not going to slow down anytime soon. And I will say there are certain tasks as a podcaster, even if you're doing audio only. I edit the audio version of my podcast in Ferrite. It's an app for the iPad. Highly recommend because I actually edit fast with Apple Pencil and the iPad.
Ooh.
And there's some effects in there that you can use, like Apple's sound isolation effect, which is kind of like an AI tool. You could consider it to remove background noise, echo, and all that kind of stuff. It is an incredible effect. It first came to Final Cut on the desktop, and now you can even use it in Ferrite on iPad. And if you enable that on the iPad, it does take a while to export your project because it's doing a lot of processing in the background. And previously, I was editing on an iPad mini. And I will say, if I ever had to use that because someone was in a noisy environment, it took a long time for that thing to process and export. And on the M4 iPad Pro, it is super fast. And so even while it might be overkill for a lot of tasks, every once in a while, I'm glad I have it to speed up that process.
There was a point where, I have a MacBook Pro, and I'm thinking about upgrading because I used to have the M1 when the M1 came out. And I love it. It is great. It does a job. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I was thinking about maybe going to the M3 version, but then I'm like, well, there's an M4 out there now. Maybe it's going to come on the onto the MacBook someday. I don't know. But then it's like, you always want to kind of future-proof yourself when you buy any kind of tech, really. You don't want to be getting new stuff every year or whatever. Yeah. So I figured the M1 would be good for a little while. I think it's still good today. What do you think of the M1 still today, in today? Like, would be a good buy?
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. You can buy a refurb M1 MacBook Air, for $600-700 maybe. That's an amazing computer. I mean, I was editing 4K video that I'm doing like on my YouTube channel today on my M1 MacBook Pro when I had it. And it was a seamless experience. And so I think for a lot of people, unless you're doing super like 3D, 4D animation, whatever, like it is more than enough, plenty capable. If you have the money, spend it on RAM and or storage.
Yeah, I
in
didn't do that.
laptop.
I didn't do that. I went with the 8 gig because the guy at the store told me it's an M1. 8 gigs in M1 is like 30 on an Intel or whatever. So I said, okay.
It's still good. It's still good. Like, and the 8 gig on Apple Silicon is great, but that's one of the things you just can't replace or upgrade later.
Right. I didn't know that until after the fact. I was like, I'm going to upgrade this thing. And like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that?
I will get at least 16. And if you can swing for 512 or a terabyte SSD, that's 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD is kind of like, I tell people like shoot for that and you'll have a computer that lasts you a long time.
But also it does the swap memory, which I don't think Intel or Windows stuff even does. So how's that work when it swaps the RAM?
You have to have enough, you have to fast enough SSD to do memory swap. And I'm not familiar with how it works on Windows, but basically if you have so many applications running that your RAM is just totally pegged where you've gone through, you've used it all. Like applications are using it. It will actually start using SSD space as RAM, basically, to keep applications active. But the SSD is much slower than RAM, than that unified memory.
Right.
So you will
Right.
see a performance drop. But the fact that it can swap means even if you only have 8 gigs of RAM, you'll be fine. Like you might notice a little bit of slowdown if you have a million Chrome tabs or whatever, but you'll be fine.
I saw this video on YouTube where this guy, I seen a couple of them, but this guy took like he had a MacBook Air M1 8 gig, and he was just like throwing everything at it at the same time, opening every tab, every application he had. He was doing photo editing, he was doing 4K video stuff, and it was still running. It was still running. And I'm like, whoa, well, if it can handle that, I mean, it can handle my little audio podcast and maybe a couple of videos. So and that's basically what I use it for really anyways. So speaking of podcasting and video stuff, how important is it for a podcaster, of any podcaster, to get onto YouTube?
I think it's really key in today's world, especially for discoverability. Like we said, you can share audiograms, which is basically, maybe it's animated captions with a little waveform, but no pictures of the hosts. You can share that as short form video, but it's going to get way less engagement and then views long term. And so I would suggest, even if you don't want to publish the full length video podcast just yet, turn on the camera just so you can share that short form video, those vertical videos, as YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikToks. But honestly, how I will say easy it is to add video now. Obviously, Riverside, we're doing it right now. It makes it super easy. Use your phone either in continuity camera or our mobile cam feature with Riverside. This is a very high quality camera. And I've done a lot of webcam comparisons on the Riverside channel. They're nowhere near as good as the iPhone. I'll just say that. Like your iPhone camera is the best option you have until you're ready to upgrade to like a mirrorless. So just use your mobile phone camera. It's going to look great. If you can afford a cheap light, little LED thing like this, that's all you need. If you can't even do the light, fine. Just turn on your phone camera to record yourself so you can do that short form video for discoverability.
Now, when you say the camera on the iPhone, are you talking about the main camera or the front camera?
Honestly, the front camera is still better than most webcams. So
really?
that was, yes, because honestly, webcams struggle in low light. They struggle with color balancing. And a lot of times I have found in the ones I've tested, they struggle sometimes with focus. Like that's a deal breaker if you're out of focus. And I've tested the expensive webcams too. I'm talking like $350 4K webcams that are, advertised as DSLR quality. I don't find that to be true. They can look good in the right environment, but personally, I would take the front-facing camera on my iPhone before a lot of those webcams.
Well, I also noticed on my MacBook Pro, like the actual camera on that thing, even though it's like a 720 camera, I think, it still picks up a lot of light. Like when I have my other webcam, I'm using an Elgato face cam right now, but I had a different webcam and it was like super, super dark. I had to like lights and all kinds of stuff. Even with all that, it still was kind of dark and grainy, and so I'd have to like really enhance it. But I noticed when the webcam on the MacBook was on, same lighting, same everything, it was like super bright. It was like, whoa. Yeah. So I don't know if it's an Apple thing or what. I'm not saying, I mean, I like Apple stuff. I mean, you like Apple stuff. So I mean, that's what it is. I don't know.
Their computational videography or photography, basically the behind the scenes work that they're doing to process that image, is just really good. And I find better than with the webcams. I will say your camera looks great though. Like the Elgato face cam is a good option. And so, that looks good. I will say if you put your iPhone back camera in continuity mode, I think it would look pretty similar to that. If not, maybe slightly better, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
some
think
people don't want to have their iPhone tied up, which I also understand.
Yeah, because
like
I'm getting messages on my phone right now. I'm looking at I'm on my desktop. I'm on my MacBook thing, and I'm looking at the messages button. It's got like 4 messages on here right now. So I mean, how does that work when you try to record with it and you get all these messages coming through? Is it cut into it? What happens?
It won't cut the video, but typically I'll turn on a focus mode, like do not disturb when I record, and that cuts down on all of it. Unless you can choose who can contact you in a focus mode. Unless it's like my wife. That's pretty much it. And she's not going to text me unless it's an emergency. So, I usually do put on a do not disturb focus mode when I record.
That's kind of the thing when I think about like using your phone to do the whole thing, is that like I'll get a message or get some interruptions while I'm trying to do it. It just like it ruins the whole mood and ruins the whole thing. So,
You got to do a focus mode. And, that's something where I have my phone on camera a lot if I'm doing a shortcuts video or like a iPhone features video, and I don't want notifications coming in. And so I actually have a shortcut on my phone, which will turn on Do Not Disturb, but also turn off auto brightness and screen lock. This way the screen will stay on until I've manually turned it off. And it turns off auto brightness because that'll mess with the camera. I have my camera set a particular way.
right.
So I don't have to worry about lighting changes or the screen getting too bright. So yeah, I automate all that.
That's great, man. Tips and tricks. Steven, your channel is full of tips and tricks. I love it. And one thing I noticed about your channel is that what makes your channel so great, I mean, obviously you give great information and great stuff, is that you're also doing multiple like camera angles and multiple different shots and things like that. I think that's probably what probably sets a lot of like the amateur videos from the better videos is the multiple camera angles and shots and things of that sort. Is it wise if you're trying to do something on YouTube to try to, put in those different angles in?
For sure. And, that's one of the retention strategies is, you might call it mode switching or whatever, but it's basically changing what is on screen, especially at the very beginning of your video, just to grab attention. And so, every few seconds showing a different angle. It doesn't have to be a camera angle. A lot of times I'll just do screen recordings. And a lot of the Riverside channel videos, you'll see, I show a screen recording of a feature, the Riverside editor or whatever. It doesn't have to be a camera. Just record your screen while you're presenting the video. And then, use your iPhone as another camera if you want. Use your iPad. You can record as, multiple angles, just the devices you have around. And then what I use in Final Cut is a multicam clip. So I basically sync all those angles that I recorded across my cameras or devices. They're all in sync because it syncs via audio and they're all recording audio. And then when I'm editing, I can just click an angle very easily, very quickly, and adjust it to one of those other shots. And so it becomes very quick to edit that kind of content because I recorded it all at the same time. Like I basically, have it all ready. I just have to switch between them.
That makes it very simple figuring that stuff out. That's one thing for me with the whole video stuff is like it takes a lot of work, man. And I know Riverside helps make things easier, but when you start adding like all these different angles and different things and different cuts and a lot of different stuff, then it's like, man, that's like a lot of work. And that's where for me, it's like I ain't got time to be messing with all that stuff. So I just stick with audio.
That's why, like, if you look at Primary Technology as my tech podcast, we record it in Riverside, but I record it with the intention to do very minimal editing. And so I want it to be visually engaging, but what can I do as we record to make it so? And so what I basically have is a Safari tab group with links to all the articles or videos that we're going to discuss during the podcast. And while we're talking about it, I am using the Riverside feature to share my screen, and I'm showing the article on screen or showing the video on screen, and then I'll take that off. Talk about the next topic, share my screen again, new article, new video. And so by doing that while we record, and it takes some ability to multitask, then in the Riverside editor, it puts it all together automatically. If I shared my screen, it'll focus on that. Then me and my co-host go picture in picture. And then once I stop screen sharing, we become big side by side. And I basically don't edit my podcast. I don't have to edit. We record in such a way where it doesn't take editing. Like I don't have to cut stuff out. I don't have to granularly go through it, which planning is a big part of that. Chemistry with a co-host. But then I can just go into Riverside, set the in and out point, export it, and I'm done. And I record our video podcast and publish the long form on YouTube, publish the audio, create thumbnails and images, all within about less than 2 hours after we're done recording.
That's a good time, I mean, especially with video too.
Especially with video. And again, Riverside makes that possible. Using Ferret on my iPad is fast for the audio side. So you can do it if you just do some pre-planning, work on that record with editing or not editing in mind, and you can do it.
That's great. That's good advice, man. That's great stuff. I know, like I said, I mean, this whole video stuff sounds like a nightmare coming into it from an audio-only side, trying to figure out the camera lighting and what's got to be in the shot and how to figure out all the different recording stuff and transitions and edit. What software do you use to edit? And if you're on a MacBook like I am, how good is just using the iMovie to do basic video stuff? I mean, I've used it, but
yeah, iMovie's fine. But again, I think the Riverside editor, like as you will find editing this episode, it might have everything you need. You can lay it out, you can edit it right there. And something you don't get in iMovie or Final Cut is you can search the transcript of this recording. So if you want to cut something out, you just search for a word, select the text and press delete like it's a Word document. and you've edited your content.
I saw that. That's like the script. That's exactly like the script does it, right?
Exactly. I'll say it's even better. But also,
of course.
You could do image overlays. So if you want to upload an image or even search for royalty-free images, we have that in the Riverside editor.
No way.
And you can overlay that in the video. Text overlays, if you want to do URLs, lower thirds, bring attention to a product. You can do text overlays in the Riverside editor. You can do it all just right in there. It might be
now. Is that part of the premium package, or is it all like anybody gets that stuff?
You can do the image overlays, text overlays, editing like via transcript, all free. Like you'll get that today or whenever you edit this. As you upgrade, there are additional features like the magic audio to make anybody's mic sound studio quality. Uses AI.
Oh, nice. Does it happen?
That.
Does it do it live, or is it like do after the fact?
After the fact.
Okay.
After the fact.
Okay.
And you can generate that either in the editor, or you can even create a magic audio version of someone's audio and then download a WAV file raw with the magic audio applied and then edit it somewhere else if you prefer.
Look at all those fancy tools. I mean, Riverside's got like everything. Do you guys do wash my truck too? I mean, what else do you guys do?
We do AI generated show notes. So you can actually get title, description, tags, timestamps. All done for you automatically using AI.
So basically, you described everything so far, except do you guys do any kind of media hosting, like audio hosting at all?
We're not a host just yet. And so we actually have partnered with Spotify. And so if you want to host your podcast for free with Spotify for podcasters,
right,
we do have a direct integration there where when you're done editing, it'll send it right over to Spotify. You don't even have to download the finished file. So you can do that, but we're not a host yet. Yeah,
so what is the pricing plan breakdown? What do you get with each tier level?
Oh, you're going to make me pull up the page.
I thought you knew that you're Mr. Riverside. I thought you knew the top of your head.
Mr. Riverside, but there's always a lot of changes and a lot of features. So, when you get the free plan, you get 2 hours of the multi-tracks where you can download separate tracks, just 2 hours of that. And then afterwards, you just have to edit everything in the Riverside editor. You do get the magic clips even on the free plan, which is a great feature, again, for discoverability. And you get 720p video quality on the free plan. If you upgrade to the standard, which is $15 a month, or you save some annually, then you get 5 hours of recording every month for separate tracks. You get 4K video to export it, no Riverside watermark on the video, and you can do the screen sharing like I was talking about as you record to do that. You can also live stream to social media on the standard plan.
Oh, nice.
And then the Pro plan, which is what I still personally pay for Riverside. Even though I work for them, I pay every month for my own Riverside account. You get 15 hours of recording. That's where you get the magic audio. That's when you get the AI-generated show notes is on that Pro plan. You get features like those virtual backgrounds, teleprompter built into the studio, and a bunch of other features too. So that's the difference.
Well, what's the price on the big guy?
The Pro plan is $24 a month.
That's really not bad. It's not bad at all because a lot of these other services are about $20 to $30.
Well, and if you think about it, you might pay for a service that gives you those magic clips. You might pay for ChatGPT Plus or whatever to get AI-generated show notes from your transcription. You'll get it all in Riverside. So, and honestly, like, again, just for my personal video podcast, the video version, I do it all in Riverside, front to back, and then I upload it to YouTube. I never download those video files or edit them outside of Riverside.
Now, can you pull in clips from the outside into your recording session live? Like, say, for example, if I say, hey, check this video out of so-and-so falling off a skateboard. Can I pull that in right now? We can watch it like together?
Yep. So you have a tool called the Media Board, and there you can upload video or audio files, and you can play those live during the recording. And the best part is, after the fact, if you use the Riverside editor, the Riverside will automatically put whatever video you shared large and make all the guests picture-in-picture, and then go back once the video is done. And you get separate tracks, if you're on the standard or Pro plan, for all those files. So if you did a bunch of media board shares, a bunch of screen shares, you still get the raw video and audio files for the people. And then every screen share or media board file, you get separate tracks, and we'll pad it with blank space, basically. So every track is the same length. So if you want to bring those into iMovie, Final Cut, whatever, you can just drop them all in. They'll all be exactly the same length, but we'll just show the media board when you had it, or the screen share when you did it and all that.
That sounds amazing. So to run all this stuff on a person's computer, what would be a minimum requirements to do this?
Well, the best part is it just runs in the browser. Now, there is some video processing, but honestly, I mean, your M1 is more than plenty. And so if you have a Mac from the last 10 years, I think you're good. Any PC where you can like stream video, like watch a live stream from something, you'll probably be fine. Bandwidth wise, we try to do like 10 to 15 megabits is kind of like the minimum, especially because you're doing video back and forth.
Is that upload or download or both?
I would say both. Try 10 to 15 both. But there are features where if you have really slow bandwidth, you can pause uploads, which you'll notice as we're recording, there's a little button at the top where it says 99% uploaded.
Right,
that means our video and audio has actually been uploading while we're recording. And so even if my power shut off and like you totally lost me, you have 99% of the video and audio we've already done. But you can turn that off and wait for uploads till we're done with the call, and that'll save a little bit on that bandwidth in real time so you can have a more smooth conversation. There's also a low data mode toggle, which you can turn on, which will turn off the video for the live call, but will still record the video to your computer. So it saves on the bandwidth, but when you log in and access your recordings, you'll still have a video file for each person.
So we won't see each other live, but we'll be able to like get the videos in the end.
Exactly.
So what if you're wearing like a costume? I would never even know. We're just talking. So when
you
it's
would
all
never
done,
know until you pull down that recording.
You're like, who's this guy? Or talking to somebody with like a voice changer app or something. It's totally different.
Well, you hear each other. I mean, you have to hear each other. So you hear each other during the call. So.
Right. How fascinating. Yeah, I mean, so far, so good. I mean, with anything, I just want to make sure it just works, and that like when it's all done, everything is where it's supposed to be. And the files look great, sound great, and I can do my thing with it, and all that great stuff. I think it's fantastic. So far, so good. And I love the whole little media section. I just discovered this right before we got on the call today. I'm like, what's this little button do? Because I was trying to figure out how to get the sound in my headphones. I was trying to figure out what the sound settings were. I push it, and I'm like, all these clips, I push play on a clip, and like, it's not playing. What's up with that? So then I went to my computer sound settings, and I was able to switch it on to the Rodecaster to be able to hear the sound source. But I think it's fantastic. You can put your own clips right in there. That's one thing when I use CleanFeed. One thing that attracted me to CleanFeed in the first place was that I could put in all kinds of sound clips and stuff in there live and play them live. But I also noticed not only was it audio, it was also video too, like you were saying, where you can put a video clip in there, like maybe a really cool like show intro that you created. And then it plays the intro if it's video and audio at the same time, right? So it's not just video.
It'll do both. And you can also add that in the Riverside editor. So you can upload video and audio clips in the editor as intros, outros, or even right in the middle. So if you didn't do it live during recording, you can add them later too.
Now, what about fading? Like music that I like to have a nice good fade out at the beginning of a podcast. You come in, it's a nice transition. Can you do that too or no?
Ask me in like 2 weeks.
Why is it coming?
That's all I'm all at liberty to say. Just ask me again in a little bit.
I know that. Well, the thing about a lot of these podcasts you'll hear, they'll like, have this cool music playing and then it'll cut like a train wreck and then all of a sudden a pause and then, hey, welcome to so-and-so show. Like you could have easily faded that out and it'll be such a smooth transition. But people don't do that. And I think it's because I think a lot of people use maybe even Riverside or even use something like the script or whatever. And I don't think they have that option available. So they just don't do it. They just do the whole music cut and then here we are, which I think is a little jarring for the listener, but that's just my personal take. I'd rather have it. I mean, I also come from like a radio background where things were like DJs talked over songs and talk ups, that kind of stuff. So it made sense to have music playing while you're talking and you're going to fade it out or whatever. I think it's a nice send off. So, but Stephen, this has been so fantastic having you on the show today. And I really appreciate you spending your time with me and going all over great things about Riverside. And being that you are an Apple guy, I got to ask you the biggest elephant in the room is that what is it like having the Apple Vision Pro?
I mean, it's funny. I actually have it right in front of me, which is not the case usually. There's some cool experiences. I actually just reviewed Marvel has a new app. It's a what if immersive experience. It's pretty cool. I personally struggle to find a use case for it day to day.
What?
I have 3 kids, a wife. If we're going to watch something, I'm not going to do it in Vision Pro. We're going to watch it all together. When I'm working, I do not prefer having my Mac mirrored in Apple Vision Pro. I really prefer my studio display looks great right here. And it's better fidelity, higher resolution. And I don't have a thing on my head to have to deal with. So every once in a while, I want to watch a movie and have the screen feel like it's 100 feet wide. It's cool for that, but it is kind of it's cumbersome. I got to make sure it's charged up because I don't use it all the time. You have to deal with this battery and stuff. So
Right.
it is very cool. And there's some very cool immersive experiences. I look forward to seeing what Apple is going to announce at DubDub just in a couple weeks if there's new features, changes coming to Vision OS. So it's pretty cool. It's fun, like to have other friends and family try it. And there's some experiences that really blow them away. But I haven't found my daily use case just yet. Not yet.
Well, do you think that if they bring it down to $1,000 price point,
Sure.
it would just sell like hotcakes?
I don't know about hotcakes, maybe like lukewarm cake. But I think they definitely need a cheaper version. This is obviously like, they call it Apple Vision Pro for a reason. They're likely will have an Apple Vision Air or maybe just Apple Vision. Take the screen off the front, take away some of the glass, maybe put some plastic on there so it's lighter, maybe take away some of the features, get it to $1,000, and it will definitely become a larger mass market product. But I still think there needs to be software or use cases that make it worthwhile, because even having a lighter, cheaper Vision, whatever, you still have to put it on your head. You have to wear it on your face. And you have that like social awkwardness, but also just the cumbersome part of having another device to manage. So there just needs to be compelling use cases in addition to having a cheaper model, I think, for it to have long-term success.
I have a amazing use case for the Apple Vision Pro that I was trying to tell my wife, because she absolutely loves to travel around the world, like Europe, everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Not so much for me. I mean, it's like a 10.5-hour plane ride to London from here. And I'm thinking, like, if there was a really good augmented reality VR version that only available to Apple Vision Pro, to where you could not tell the difference when you were standing right there in London, walking around the streets of London and not have to physically go there. I'm like, that's almost the price of a plane ticket. So, that's kind of
and people who can't travel, maybe for health reasons, medical reasons, elderly, whatever, I think there is a case to be made. Like, this could offer experiences where otherwise would be impossible, and to make it really feel like you're there. But Apple has not produced a lot of the kind of immersive content that makes you feel that way. They have a couple videos like of this woman doing a high line, which is like a tightrope basically, in Norway. And that video is incredible. It's one of the best experiences you can have in Apple Vision Pro. You do feel like you're there, but there's only a few episodes of that and they're only about 7 minutes long. So we just need more of that content. Like you're saying, an app where you could experience like the top tourist attractions in London, Paris, Rome would be amazing.
Sure. You can like look around, like you scroll your head around, you look around like you're physically there.
Live sports, if it's possible, I think this is a few years away, but live immersive sports where you can pay an amount and literally have that courtside seat perspective, which, you think about it, there can only be 2 seats at half court on the court. There's only 2 people that can have that perspective right now. But if you make that an immersive experience, now you can have millions of people pay for that experience, but also from the comfort of their own home. And so I think that's the kind of use cases that it's going to draw a whole new audience. I mean, my father-in-law is a huge sports fan. He'll switch between 5 different basketball games all night. And if he could just wear this and feel like he's courtside, I think that might be compelling too.
But with the audio is spatial audio, and they figure out a way to make it sound like you hear a bicycle going by and whatever, and then the double-decker bus goes by and that kind of thing and all that stuff. And I know there are some things like that with the YouTube VR on the Oculus that I've played with. Now, how does that compare to the Oculus? Is it, I'm sure it's like light years better, I'm guessing, but.
Well, I've had limited experience. I tried a Quest 2 a couple of years ago. And, you can feel some immersive environment, like games and stuff. I played like the Star Wars game where I was like, force grabbing stuff. Like, that's cool. But the fidelity of the screens on the Apple Vision Pro, I think, is what makes the difference. Where if you want that I feel like I'm there moment,
right,
that's something I think unique to the Apple Vision Pro, or even the Quest. I think the Meta Quest 3, I've heard some people talk about. It's good. It's a good experience, but you're not going to have that shift of like, I feel like I'm there. And so that's where Apple could take advantage of that.
What if there was like travel boutique shops where they've got all they have is Apple Vision Pros, but like with all the cool like all the travel like apps loaded up, and say, "What do you want to travel to Europe today?" It's like $50 or whatever, and you rent it for like the half hour. or whatever, and you're there in Europe or whatever, you know?
Well, and it's funny. I think of movies like Minority Report. I think Total Recall had this, where you basically go and have a VR experience, but a VR experience that's so real, it feels like you're doing it. And yeah, 100%, like maybe that could be a use case, but there has to be that kind of content available. And we're just several years from, I think, having that.
Well, they are pretty good with those 360 cameras they've got. Have you ever used those 360 cameras?
I have not. And it's not 360. It's interesting. Apple's immersive video is like a 180 experience. So if you look all the way to your side, you'll eventually get to just black.
Nice.
The immersive video actually stops. And you can actually see these cameras now. There's been pictures at the slam dunk contest, I believe, where Apple captured some video from that. And you can see it's like a stereoscopic camera. So there's two lenses capturing basically what your eyes would be seeing. So they can split it and do that 3D effect. So it's actually like more 180 than 360.
Yeah, they're fun toys, but I think after a while of just using it, especially if there's not a lot of use case for them every day, then it just becomes another thing you throw on your desk and you're like, maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. I don't know.
It needs more content for sure.
Definitely. I mean, like my son's got the Oculus and they were all into it the first like 2 weeks. But then after a while, I don't think he even uses it anymore. So
that's the thing. There has to be a compelling use case to how to charge it, put this thing on your face, and then wear it for hours. We'll see.
Right. Well, Stephen, this has been so fantastic having you on the show, man. I really appreciate you stopping by and telling us all the great, wonderful things in your tech world and with Riverside and all that great stuff. Where can everybody find out all about you and your channel, all your stuff, man?
For sure. Well, first go to riverside.fm and you can definitely check it out there. And then go to youtube.com/riversidefm. I have a bunch of videos on there about Riverside, podcasting, just tips to get started and gear recommendations. So you could do that. And if you want to find me personally, beard.fm is my website.
Nice. Because it got the beard. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, I can't grow a beard, but
I wanted a really short URL that was easy to remember. And that one has been pretty provocative when I say it. So beard.fm, and people rarely forget it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today, man. I appreciate this.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
That was incredible. What an amazing conversation. Learning all the cool things about Riverside, what it can do, all the great stuff you can do as a content creator, podcaster. Hey, if you are serious about using video for your podcast, maybe you need video for your marketing or for all kinds of different elements to add to your show, then give Riverside a try. Hey, if you want to watch the video version of this podcast interview today, it is live right now on my YouTube channel. Link to it down in the show notes below. If you found some incredible value today of the things we talked about Riverside, about podcasting, about all the cool Apple tech that's available right now, please give me a subscribe or follow wherever you are listening to the show right now. And that way I know to keep making these things for you so you can make an amazing podcast of your very own. And I will see you on the very next one. And until then, happy podcasting.